Hello, everybody. Thank you for those that have joined us. We are in a session today which is going to be different to what a lot of people are used to. What Dimitri will be showing us today is that whilst we're all familiar with using Excel, we can use Excel to pull data out of Navision, get lots of information on our screens and make reports and save them and print them. Dimitri's going to show us what to do when you want to continuously and repetitively get data out of a system without using Excel, so with some different ways. For those of you who don't know Dimitri, he's an MVP for Navision for a couple of years now. He's got a lot of experience with Navision, and I think that everybody knows this. So I'm going to just do a little bit of housekeeping. So firstly, welcome to Europa. Just a few things. We are recording the seminar. You'll find it on YouTube. You'll get an email follow-up with the details of the link where to find that. So if you want to watch it again on YouTube, you'll find it. If you have questions, there is a question window. Please enter the question in there and I will interpret it. If it's something about logistics that I can answer, I will. If it's something about the topic, if the topic does need Dimitri to stop for some reason, if there's a mistake or something you're not sure of, I'll ask him to stop. Otherwise, we'll queue up all the messages. We'll have 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the session. And at that stage, I'll pass the questions to Dimitri for him to answer them. So I'll let you know this. A big thank you to 4Nav for sponsoring this, and to Luke, who's not here, from Areopa, who's on a plane right now, or actually I think just getting off his plane and was unable to moderate today. So I'm going to hand it over to Dimitri, and let's go. Dimitri, it's all yours.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you. Hi, guys. It's a pleasure to meet you here and to be a presenter for and to open the series of autumn series of presentations from Europa, and also to open the season of conferences. So we also will have conferences in October, November, so we are starting right now. So yeah, my name is Dmitry. So let's start. So the idea actually behind this presentation and this session is some months ago I had a task to analyze some data in my extension, but I should embed this analysis into my extension. I tried what we have. I will speak about that briefly, and then I got into some limitations and discovered a new approach how we can handle this task. So let's start, and let me show you from zero to hero, like it's modern word. So what do we have in AL to analyze data? So of course we have AL code, like a sort filter, repeat, until. We can calc sums, set autocalc fields, something like that, right? I think you're all familiar with that. Also we have queries, which is a quite power tool to analyze data but also had some limitations. We'll see that later. We have views. Well, it's a very simple tool, like a save as a view, where a list page can have different views, actually different filters applied to this page. And of course we have reports. Also we have SQL queries, still we have them, but only on-prem. So now we will talk mostly on cloud, so we don't have this opportunity to analyze data. And usually I'm like a practical man, so I prefer to show on real examples. So that's why today there will be one example that we'll cover with different tools. So assume we have a sales transaction dataset with 40,000 rows and about 3 years of sales transactions history, and we should have a button in our extension to get the top 10 items sold in top 10 best-selling days, right? So once again, top 10 items sold in top 10 best-selling days. So to achieve this task, we actually should take the entire sales entries, well, 38,000 rows. We should group that by days, then sort by sum of amounts, get first 10 best-selling days, then take this entire dataset, apply the filter of these 10 days, then group by items, sort by sums, and get first 10 best-selling items. All right. So let's try that in AL. So that's my AL project. So actually, I already prepared this example, so we can go through the code and see how we can do that. So I have my page with the transactions, and I have here an action. So get top 10 insights. I created a function for that. So here are our steps. So we get top 10 best-selling days, get top 10 best-selling items on top of these best-selling days. And then we show the result. Also, we measure execution time just to show you the difference in different tools. So how can we get top 10 best-selling days? Of course, you can do some repeat, but I created a query for that. So I created 2 queries. So the first query, take the transactional dataset, and actually we group that by a column of date and summarize orders, which are our actual amounts. The next query, so we take the same transactional dataset, then we apply a filter to the date and group by items, and then summarize orders. That's actually what's happening here. If we will go here, so we set the filter from the first query to the second query, and then we run the query and fill the temporary table and just open that. Let's see how it works. What's the speed of that? So this is an empty table. Actually, I have a button here, refresh. What it does, it downloads all 40,000 rows from Azure Blob Storage to Business Central in my table. And then I have here the button, an action, top 10 items. We see that execution time is quite quick, 0.3 seconds. And we have these top 10 items. So this looks very good. So we can use queries for such simple tasks. But I think it's not very new information for you. But what if we change the initial request? So if we still want to get the top 10 items sold in top 10 best-selling days, but grouped by a weekday, right? So the one step that we add here is a group by a weekday. Well, it's you can think it, well, it's simple. We can just add one more column in our query. But the thing is that we don't have a weekday here. We have only a date. If we will look at our queries, let me just switch to another demo. So demo number 2. So let's open items here. So the thing is, well, you can just add a date here and see if you have a method to get a week date from a date. But if we look at methods here, we have only day, month, or year, which means that if you have here a request group by days, or group by months, or group by year, you still can use queries for that. But we don't have such option here, which means that you should create a weekday here from a date before actually running the query. I will not save that. So if we look at the code which I prepared, the only difference that I added comparing to the previous demo is this function. So I said day of the week on all transactions. So if I will go here, so it's just a simple repeat until, and I created a new field, so day of the week, and for each record I set a weekday. So it's from a date table. But if we'll run this extension now, you see that the speed decreased dramatically. Of course, because in AL you should go to every record and assign a weekday to each record. So the execution time is about 17 seconds. And now we see that, well, all the bestseller days were Fridays, well, which is actually not, well, this is the transactional data set from a restaurant, so it's Friday is always bestseller date. So, but let's continue here. That's I showed. So, can we do it better? So we saw some limitations of queries, right? So, but should we leave it as is, or is there any other approach we can use? Yeah. So actually, that approach which I discovered and want to share with you. And this approach is called Python. So Python is well, it's another language. I think you at least heard about Python. And Python, it's open source, and it's very good. It's very good for data manipulations. It has many millions of ready packages actually. So it's Python also has its extensions for Python, and it's simple, and it has its own Visual Studio Code extension. So why not to use that? Why not at least try to solve this task with Python and then connect Python to Business Central. So let's try to do that in Python. I will commit that. So well, Python has a Visual Studio Code extension, as I told you. So if you will search for extension here, Python. Well, actually, this extension is issued by Microsoft, and it has, I think, about 60 millions of downloads. If we compare that to our AL language, we have 133,000. Yeah, you see the difference. The ecosystem of Python, it's huge. It's really huge. The nice thing about Python also is that you have a problem, just search and you will get the answer. That's actually, to be honest, how all Python developers work. So let's see how we can solve this task in Python. So first, there are some prerequisites. So this state number 0, I will not show that. So you need to install Python, you need to install Python extension, you need to add to a path, you need to select interpreter, so then you need to reboot the system and install new packages. And the packages in Python, it's like an extensions. So it's an extensions to the Python. So for example, pandas, it's an extension, it's a package to deal with a big data. So we will also measure time here, and actually I will upload my data set, how I did in Business Central, which is in a JSON format, to a variable. It's called like the variables sales with a simple function PD, which is actually a name of this package, and the function is called read.json. So it's very simple, and I just pass the URL here. So if I will, and a Python also, it's like a PowerShell. You can run it by lines. So it's like a run selection line, and I will just show you. So we see that I already downloaded the 4,000 rows. To prove that, I can look at this variable. So this is all happening in the memory. So I upload in the data in the memory. We have 30, 38,000 rows and 10 columns. So, and then I'm grouping here. So these are my two queries actually. I get the top days. So I'm grouping these sales by a date and calculate sum by orders and get the first 10. You see that in a Python you can do the functions execution one by one with a dot in a one line. So that's very easy to read. If we will look at what's inside of this variable, you will see that my top 10 days with my orders. Then I will just filter my sales by these top days and then group by items and orders once again. So you see that's very quick. If we'll look here, you will see the picture that I had in a Business Central. So let's actually to try execute that once again, just to see the speed. So I select all, Shift Enter, and you see that it took, well, it's 0.8 seconds to upload data, and it took 0.03 seconds to get this insight, comparing to 0.3 seconds to get this insight with a queries in a Business Central. So at least this code is 10 times faster than queries in a Business Central. But let's continue. I have the second script here. Actually, it's the same script, but we add this extra field, day of the week. So, and we calculate a date, and we calculate day of the week from a date for all for 40,000 rows. And in a Python, you are doing this with a one line. So if we will measure that, so the rest code is the same actually, except this one, because we group now by day of the week and menu item and item. So let's do the execution here. Let's execute this piece of code. And you see the result. The result is well, actually the same as in the second demo. In the second demo in Business Central, we have also Fridays here, but look at the seconds. Look at the speed. So, well, it's mostly the same amount of time to upload data as in the first demo, but it took 0.1 second to get this insight, comparing to 17 seconds in a Business Central. Here you should be impressed. So, but yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. But how should we connect AL to IPython? Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible with the Python Azure Functions. So Python Azure Functions is actually new functionality in Azure Functions. Well, it's not really new. I think it's about a year already there. But it was in preview. Now it's not in preview and publicly available. And yeah, the idea is that you can execute Python code in Azure Functions and call that from a Business Central. So you have Business Central with data. Yeah, you have Python. You have Azure Functions with a Python support. So you send data to Azure Functions, and you receive insight back. And because of Python Azure Functions are really new, it's not really big amount of documentation how you can do that exactly. So it took me about, I think, well, some days to investigate and to make it work. So yeah, and some months ago I published here the blog about that, and now I will show you how you can do that. So yeah, let's try Python Azure Functions. Here is a link also from a standard document. Oh no, that's my blog, and here is a standard documentation. Yeah. So yeah, let's move on. I will move to. By the way, the code here will be, well, it's already available on my GitHub. So due to the lack of time, I will not show you how to create all these functions from the scratch. The idea that you should also have some prerequisite. You should install the Azure extension here and Azure Functions extensions here to Visual Studio Code. And then you click here, create a new project. So you, I will just show you, but no, we will not execute that. You select the folder. You select that you want to run Python there. Then you select the template for a project, and we will use HTTP trigger template. So it will create a template code for us to get data from the HTTP request, and then proceed Python code inside, and then push the result through the HTTP response. So, and here you can select the name of the function. Okay, function. And then you just press enter, and it will create you this configuration. So I actually didn't change here at least anything. The one thing that I added here is in this requirements txt file, the package that I will use, which is called pandas. And the main thing here is this init.py function. So by default, you have here this main function where you have HTTP request as the input and the HTTP response as the output, and everything in the middle, actually here, it's my code. So let's see how it works here. So from the request parameters, I receive a data set in a JSON format. So I assign a variable which is called body, and I get JSON from the request. And then I just make some exceptions if we don't have JSON inside. And if we have a JSON dataset upload successfully, here the rest is very similar to what I showed you in a previous demo. So sorry. Yeah, I'm back again. So here I assign to my sales the data set from the request. So I'm not uploading this from Azure Blob Storage, which will not make sense. I should take the data set which I'm sending from a Business Central. So I take this, and then I get the result from my function that I did. So and this function, actually this get top 10 items inside, does exactly the same as I showed you previously. So we take the data set, it adds the day of the week, it make a grouping by date and orders, then assign this to a sales dataset that I have, then make the total grouping by day of the week and menu items and orders. And then which is important, I return the result, just return the result. And from this result, I convert it back to a JSON. So, and this result converted to a JSON, I'm returning as a output from my function. So that's the idea. And then when you are ready, actually you can debug it here. Just select here attach to a Python functions and click debug if you want, or to publish that as Azure function, you should go to Azure extension and click here, deploy to a function. So, and here you select the folder that you will use, your subscription, you just select or create a new function there. I already did that, and then click on deploy. It takes, well, I think about 10 minutes, so I will not do that here. And then we have our function. So actually, yeah, I should go to my portal. Okay, I will use Chrome. So the why should you go to the portal? Just to take the URL of the function. Frankly speaking, when you will publish the function from Visual Studio Code, it will show you the URL in the terminal. But just in order to make a proof, here. And here. And here is the URL. So actually the URL that you will use in a AL, in a Business Central, to send data to and get a response from. So, and let me show you how we can manage calling that from AL. This, yeah, I think it's correct demo. So I have here no, it's not correct demo. Yeah, that's correct. One. So I have here another procedure, get top items inside. And what I'm doing here, I'm sending my sales transactions to Azure. And then, well, I'm also measure time for execution. So I'm sending the data set to Azure. It proceeds in my Azure function, give me a result, and I'm taking this result and saving to a temporary table and then showing here. So if I will go here, what should we proceed to be able to send data to Azure function? Well, actually, it doesn't matter, Python Azure function or .NET Azure function. We should convert our data set into a JSON. So we need to take our table, our sales transactions, and then convert it line by line to a JSON array. And then we just set the label for our data set in a JSON format and create a JSON object. And then we just take this JSON object and send a request. So it will be a post method. We set the URI, and this is the URI which I showed you on the previous screen from the Azure Functions. So we add to the request our dataset in a JSON format, and yeah, so we add our content and we send that, and we receive a response, and we save that as also in a JSON format as an inside JSON. And then we are going here and we are saving and showing the results. So we actually reading this JSON, and we are filling our temporary table, and then we show this table in our page. So let's see how this works. So this is my action. Clicking on that. Now it's sending all 40,000 rows to Azure function, to a Python Azure function preceding there, and giving me a response. I think it's also, yeah. Let's try once again because Azure function was actually warming there. I didn't run it for the last hour. Yeah, so now it warms, and that's the execution time. Now it's 5 seconds. Well, Of course, if we compare just to a pure Python execution, it's larger, right? But we lose time to send data and to receive. Well, actually, we're losing time to send data, but to proceed execution, to execute Python code, we don't lose there. But if we compare to a pure L, if you remember, we had around 17 seconds. So at least it's well, 3 times faster, and it's faster. And well, with a Python, you have so much opportunities you can run. So if you have any limitations that you are thinking in L, you can. Here is the approach that I at least recommend you to try. Yeah, David, I think I've finished on time. Do we have any questions?
Yes, we have a couple of questions. So the first one is from Yuri Popov. The question is, it's an interesting question actually. Could you tell us what other VS Code extensions do you use for Python development? It's actually a really interesting question because it's irrespective of the presentation you've given about the data capturing, the idea of using Python in Vision is a really great one, the way you've done it, and possibly even another complete separate topic. But yeah, could you explain other extensions that you use?
Well, actually, I installed only one extension for that, which is called Python. So I just used that one.
Yeah, I may be wrong, but I thought what Yuri wanted to know was other things other than this that you use, other extensions.
Yeah. So to run this, well, actually, here is a documentation what you should pre-configure to be able to run this extension. And you need to install Python into your computer, actually. You need to select, well, actually, yeah, you need to install a Python into your computer. And then you should install this extension. And you need to configure, let me show you.
I wonder if it is enough for an entire new presentation, because it's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, here it's called here Python select interpreter. So you select the workspace you are working, a folder where your Python code will execute, and also here you will execute. That's here. You also select the exe file for your Python if it doesn't work, because well, I will show you once again where I have that. So that code is available on a GitHub, and here is a pull request actually. So,
are you going to make these scripts available?
Yeah, they are already available.
Great.
Yeah, if you will search for GitHub, open GitHub, and I think my GitHub is something like dcatson, and I have a repository here, and you just need to, well, select demos, and here you will have a demo with a Python, and yeah, everything available already here, so we can just download and try to reproduce.
Yeah, this is great. And we'll have the video tomorrow, so carry more, we can go that. Great, that's really useful. But honestly, it would really be a nice presentation if you did just the Python, as a whole new session. But let's not discuss that now. So the next question is from Ahmed. It's a question actually, which was my first question when I saw this going, is that obviously the biggest issue since they took SQL away from Navision is how do you get the data out of Navision? And okay, this is great, but so we've got two questions, one from Ahmed and one from Daniel, but I'll put them together into one question. So I'll ask the actual questions and then I'll put it all together. So Ahmed asks, most customers have millions of transactions. How feasible is this? The slowest part is getting the data out of Navision, and since you can't access SQL, that's going to be a slow thing. And then the question that Daniel asks is, have you tried getting the data through a BC API, and is this faster? So in general, how viable is this? I don't know about millions. I would be more worried about billions of transactions because most of my customers have hundreds and hundreds of millions of entries. How does this work in the high volume world?
Yeah, that's a good question. My suggestion will be to make the queries inside of Business Central and calling the Azure Functions work together. So you should, of course, the longest part here is to send the data, and frankly speaking, I could optimize this current example not to send all the data, but to make a query first inside of Business Central, which is really quick, and then to send also the rest of data to Azure Functions to get the rest of insights. But of course, sending data back and forth, it's very time consuming. There is what about APIs? So the idea here was to send the information from Business Central to an external servers and get the data back. That's why we don't have any Business Central APIs here used. But the other approach, if you have some Python code, for example, to analyze data outside of Business Central, and you can get the data from Business Central using APIs. It's quick, really quick. The one thing that there are some limitations, I think, about the amount of data there you can get from a Business Central per one call. I guess so.
Okay, so Ahmed extends the question, and it's like he's reading my mind, because it's the thing. How does all this compare to using Power BI? Because Power BI obviously has its limitations. So how does this compare?
That's for repeatable solutions. Power BI, it's like an Excel. I see that like an Excel. It's very good for drill down, investigating data, playing with data. Yeah, but if you want to add some functionality inside of a Business Central, I think that there are Power BI reports embedded, right? But it's I think it's not very easy to make them available in extensions. I think we should ask Steven about that.
Okay, so to Yuri, Ahmed, and Daniel, did that answer your questions, or do you have further questions on that? To me, the question is always, you've got two things: the flexibility, which Navision gave us flexibility and performance. Power BI gives us flexibility, but not really the performance. Do you see that using Python as a preprocessor is a way to get the performance back?
Yeah, I think so. If we use that in a smart way, I would say that it will give you and performance and even more flexibility. because
Good.
well, I started using Python when I started my machine learning projects, and all machine learning projects are mostly in Python. So yeah, that's why what I showed you today, it's I think 0.0000001% of all the possibilities.
Yeah. I mean, I've started Python simply because I'm playing with Raspberry Pi, and I don't want to keep learning lots of languages. So it looks like a nice opportunity. And as Ahmed just said, this demo has been a great introduction to connecting Azure Functions. So this would be it would be really good. This is really, I've gotten more out of this from you showing us how to connect Python and Azure services into AL than from the actual core of the presentation. So that's really good.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Ahmed is saying, I wish that MS gives us big data manipulation within AL instead of pushing the data with Azure. But I understand why they won't do that, because this is a huge moneymaker for them, because they charge on data. They don't charge you much for data in the system, but every time you pull out, they charge it. So it's a great way for Microsoft to make money. I don't think that if you give Microsoft the option, here's option A, which will be great for customers, and here's option B, which will make you truckloads of money. I'm sorry, but Microsoft would be stupid to give us good stuff. It's better they give us the stuff that's going to make them money. That's just life. They've invested billions into this. So they want to make it back again.
Yeah, but with the Azure Functions here, they bill per query, I think. So per request, and here I just pull one request, right?
Yeah, but it would be nice if we could just write a pure SQL query inside AL and just do it all in Azure.
Yeah.
Ahmed, was that the question you were asking? Okay, thanks. Good. Yeah, so it's been a really great presentation. I came in here with a completely different idea of what it was going to be, and you've turned it into a really interesting session about AL functions. Azure Functions in AL. So it's really great. Can't wait to see you at Tech Days.
Yeah, we'll be there. Can't wait to see everyone there.
Yeah, should be good. All right, so any more questions before we finish up? I think you've answered everybody's question. So thank you very much, Dmitry. This has been a really great presentation. Really liked it. I got a lot out of it. I hope everybody else did. You will all get an email which will follow up and explain where the YouTubes are. I haven't seen the new ones with Europa. It'll be similar format to what there was before. You should be able to get all that, and then all those, everything, the links and everything that Dmitry showed us, you'll be able to go backwards and forwards and pause, rewind in YouTube to find them. So there's no need, and we should all be great. So I think if that's all, there's no need to go any longer, and there's no more questions. If you've got nothing more to say, Dmitry?
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and I'm just want to empower you to enrich your ecosystem of possibilities, just using different services and maybe other languages, because we now live not in a box. We are now living out of the box.
Well, you say that, but in fact, that we weren't living in a box. For now, in the Navision world, we lived in a box for a long time. Then they gave us SQL, which took us out of that box, and now they've just put us in a new box called Azure. So yes, that box is much bigger, but we're still in a box.
It's not but it's not really only Azure, because well, for this approach, for Python approach, you can use other services than Azure. Actually, Azure is just one of them.
Okay.
Just one of them.
I think you've got a lot of interesting stuff here, and I hope we're going to get some more sessions from you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dmitry. Thank you for everybody for attending. Goodbye, and check out the YouTube. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Where's the stop button? Oops. Okay. Good.